Welcome back to Live Darts here at Alexandra Palace, and we've got him out of the studio, Sky Sports David Croft. Dave, we've taken you away from Baku and all the nice places you are for F1. Back at the Palace.
You mentioned Baku. You could have said Monaco. You could have said Austin. You said Baku. Baku's great, but that's the last place I thought you'd say.
Really? What's it like being back at the darts and at Alexandra Palace?
I think it's great. I'm here where the winners sit.
Yeah.
This is kind of hallowed desk. This one, I love being back at Ali Pali. This is it's a very special time of year, to be honest. Formula One season's finished. As we speak, I think there's about 90 days to go to the next one. And I can concentrate on my other love in life, and that's darts. I've covered darts since 2002, so it's not exactly a new thing for me. But being part of the Sky Sports presentation team, it's just it's the best job in the world. So someone pays me money to sit and talk darts with my mates. It's fantastic.
2002 to the present day is a long time, and it's changed an awful lot.
Yeah.
From when you first started to where we are now, what's the biggest difference that you think?
The professionalism. When I first started covering darts, the Lakeside World Championship was a beautiful family affair. Fans, officials, players, media, everyone was a big family together. The sport has grown hugely since then. A lot of the same players are still involved, but there's a professionalism now. You can't just kind of turn up and not practice and hope to win a match at the World Championship like some players might have done in the past. Now you've got to dedicate your life. If you want to be the best in world darts, you have to dedicate your life to this, and that can only be good for the sport. The standard that we see up on the Oki is absolutely immense now, and I don't just watch the World Championship, I watch it throughout the year as well, and I keep very much up to date with what's going on, and it's great to see the younger players coming through the development tour as well, and already doing well here at Ali Pali. The guys on the challenge tour, guys that are giving the established names a game, and a proper game as well. There is no easy match now in the World Championship, and that's great.
We lost Raymond last night, bowing out an illustrious career. We've lost Phil in the last 2 years as well. It's a real transitional period, but these youngsters are really picking up the baton and going, hang on a minute, yes, they were great and legends in the sport, but we don't need them anymore.
Well, no, we do. We do need the legends of the sport, because, you know, as fans of the sport, we want to see our heroes up on the stage. And, you know, I'm a massive Barney fan. I really am, and I'm gutted that he went out in the first round. That's not how I want to see my hero bow out in darts, given how much he's given to the game as well. But, you know, it happens to the best of them. You can't all bow out like Phil Taylor in a final. That was just poetic. Would have been even better had he have won, but, you know, I'm sure Phil would have taken it that way. But we need the legends, and we need players that the youngsters can aspire to and want to go and challenge and beat. We need Michael van Gerwen to be strong, and players to go and take the challenge to Michael van Gerwen as well. And I think we're in a great position, because whilst Michael is dominating, yes, and he is winning so many matches, the emergence this year of Gerwin Price as a real contender, the rebirth maybe of Dave Chisnell, and I'm expecting a good run from Chizzy. That's put the mockers on him at the World Championship, isn't it? Guys like Glenn Durrant coming over from the BDO and showing that he's got more than enough ability to go a long way. Peter Wright will eventually get it right. Michael Smith, who is just there or thereabouts when it comes to winning a major trophy, it will happen. You know, these guys are all supremely talented, and we need youngsters coming through to play the supremely talented guys, to give them a game, and then to take on the legends as well. And I think we've got a great mix in the sport.
Just touching on the way Phil's final year went, and the way we hoped Raymond's would have gone.
Yeah.
Is darts the only sport where fairytale endings like this can happen?
I think darts is an easy sport for fairy tale endings to happen. I always think darts is a bit of pantomime, and I'm not decrying the sport whatsoever, but no sport swings good and bad quite as regularly during the course of one match, I think, that the darts does. With every 3 darts you can be a hero, or you can go down to 0. So fairy tale endings can happen. You can be inspired by the crowd, you can go on a great run. I mean, you look at Nathan Aspinall last year and the way he marked his World Championship efforts. There are other sports where you can, but this is the most beautifully simplistic sport on the planet. With other sports, if you're going to have a fairy tale story, you probably need quite a bit extra to go with that fairy tale. Here, it's one man, 3 darts, and how much bottle he's got in here.
You saw Phil hit his best. You've obviously seen Michael dominate. as well. Would you have liked to see the two of them go head-to-head in their prime?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I'd also have liked to have seen Eric Bristow go head-to-head with Michael Van Gerwen in his prime. I'd like to have seen Jockey Wilson take on Gary Anderson, because I think that would have been a lot of fun as well. One day, someone will write the computer program to give us the ultimate fantasy darts viewing, and we'll show it on Sky Sports Darts as well, because wouldn't that be brilliant to see, the legends of yesteryear against the legends of today, and then we can all stop having the argument at the bar, which is who is the greatest player the world's ever seen. Eric Bristow, by the way, is probably the answer to that.
That's a great shout. Not many people do. Most people go for either Phil or Michael. Well, you've gone outside the...
Yeah, well, I was a massive Brizzy fan, growing up. And the thing about Eric, he won a lot of matches before he got to the hockey, because he just had that presence, that aura about him. I absolutely loved watching Eric Bristow. I loved being part of the Sky Sports Darts team with Eric as well. And and to call him a friend, he just was a joy to be around. But he throughout his career played the best at every stage. He was never in a situation where maybe Phil was a bit lucky in the early years of the PDC, where he was playing the same players week in, week out, and not necessarily all the best players in the world. The dart split happened, and you still had a huge quality field in the BDO, and guys that Phil wouldn't have been playing at a time when maybe he would have been more vulnerable to that attack. Barney was the first guy to come over from the BDO after the split to really take the challenge to Phil. But Brizzy, for me, played the best week in, week out, and more often than not beat the best week in, week out, and that's why I always think that, to me, he is the greatest darts player ever.
Darts as well. We're going to the city that doesn't sleep next year, Madison Square Garden in New York.
Man, that's going to be... I've commentated there. Well, I've commentated at Madison Square Garden. Boxing, Roy Jones Jr. against Joe Calzaghe. I know how amazing that place is and how inspirational that place is. So if you're a darts player, plying your trade, in front of thousands of people, to be in the Garden doing it as well, wow. Who'd have said that would have happened 20 years ago?
Madness.
It's total madness, but the sport deserves it, because it is loved worldwide. It's a hugely popular sport, and we should never forget the love for darts that's out there from outside the traditional darting fraternity, as it were.
We'll touch on the BDO as well at the moment, obviously, because you're a huge darts fan. Is it saddening to see what's going on the other side of the divide at the moment?
Yeah, I don't know too much of the politics, and I'm not interested in the politics either. I remember once upon a time we did a feature when we were at the Lakeside, and it was Tony Green and myself and Bobby George and John Parr. We were just sat talking darts. And John Parr, who was a man who talks an awful lot of sense, by the way, sometimes you wouldn't think it to look at him, but he does. He talks a lot of sense, and I love working with Party. And he said that take all the politics, take the arguments pro, against, who's the best and who's the worst. Just actually think for a minute that darts can support two very strong organisations, and this was back in about 2004 when he said that. And I think we've forgotten that a little bit, that actually this beautiful simplistic sport has supported two very strong organisations, and that should be celebrated. And it's a real shame that the BDO seem to be struggling internally, struggling with regards to the future. I don't know why they've left the Lakeside. I think that's a crying shame that we're not going to see a World Championship at the Lakeside this year, because I remember how I felt the first time I went there, and what an amazing venue that was for darts. But I hope they come through whatever problems they've got at the moment, and I hope we continue to support two strong organisations, because there's no doubt that the PDC has benefited from the BDO players coming over. The BDO has been the grassroots of this sport, but the PDC has now got a handle on that grassroots. As I mentioned, the development tour, the challenge tour as well, and the pro tour that allows these players to play against the best now week in, week out, and then to come onto TV so that worldwide audiences can see just how good they are. That's a great model for the future, and it's a shame the BDO haven't got that model for the future. I hope they discover it, and I hope we continue to see the best of both worlds.
Just going to quick one on to F1 while we're here before we go. The new season, not that far away.
It's never not that far away, is it?
Lewis Hamilton's dominance Any signs of it ending?
No, not at all. No, I don't think so. I was with Lewis last night. Actually, I saw him for a while, and there is no lacking motivation when it comes to Lewis Hamilton thinking about next season. He'll have some time off over Christmas, and some much needed time off, and he'll come back, I think, fitter, faster, stronger than ever. So it's like it is in darts. It is up to the rest to take the challenge to Lewis Hamilton. He might be the Michael van Gerwen of the Formula One world, and I'm sure that's not a comparison that's ever been made in the past. But it's up to the rest to now take the challenge to him, and I'm sure they will, and I'm sure Lewis will then rise to that challenge, and we'll get better and better Grand Prix to come.
Is the gap bigger than it's ever been between Lewis and the field at the moment?
No, I don't think so. But I think Lewis continually finds a way to rise above the rest of the field, and that's the mark of a truly great sportsman.
Dave, absolute pleasure. We'll let you get back to the studio as this game's starting to kick on now.
Yeah, you see, I did think that Darius Labanowskis and Ian White is the game that's on at the moment. I really thought that Darius could give Ian White a few problems today, and he's just taken the first set. This could be worth watching.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you very much.
You too.